Do you want to learn the tools and strategies that can propel you to the next level in life? Do you want to understand how to maximize your fullest potential? Since 2001, Empower You has impacted and changed the lives of tens of thousands of people from around the world. And now we bring the life-changing experience to you. So welcome to the Empower You podcast with Brent Williams and Byron Dempsey, the podcast that delves into the ins and outs of the Empower You program and gives you a behind-the-scenes glimpse into what really goes on at these life-changing events.
So earlier on, you mentioned your audiences haven't gone happy. So today, this episode, we're going to be talking about, I guess, why we think that is. Obviously, there's a lot of different reasons. We'll go into a few reasons why. But I guess, what are you seeing with your audiences? You've been running it for 20 years. You said you're seeing high levels of anxiety. I think we're having more people leaving the program halfway through. Like, what are you seeing?
Yeah. So, a lot has changed in 20 years. And it's funny, this year being the 20th anniversary, I've reflected more on the journey and the changes than I ever have because it's a bit of a milestone for me. When I started running Empower You, my skill set as a presenter was not what it is now. So I'm a lot better at what I do now than what I was. This is relevant, by the way. When I started running Empower You, the first 10, even 15 years, if 50 people started the weekend, 50 people would finish it. Meaning 100% of people would start and complete the course, 100%. Now, we have an average drop-off rate of between 10 and 15%. Meaning, if 50 people start, we finish with 42 to 45. Yet the program's better. I'm better at facilitating it. It's been engineered to be improved experience.
Literally everything is better.
Everything's better. Everything's upgraded. It's been upgraded from a year ago.
Massively.
Yeah. So why is it, if the program's gotten better, why are less people staying? Well, I believe there's a number of factors for that. I believe that 20 years ago, let's just go back to where it started compared to now. If a parent paid for the course and their kid was like, I don't want to go, the parent would say, you're going. I paid the money, you're going to stay in the room. Whereas now, a kid can get on their mobile phone. When I started, they didn't have access to mobile phones either.
So if they wanted an hour,
they couldn't just call their parent. Now they can just text them and go, oh, you know what, I've been here for 2 hours and it's boring and I'm not having fun. And the parent will go, that's okay, you gave it your best. You gave it a go. That's all I ask is you give it a try and I'll come pick you up, little darling. And I just want to scream at them. It honestly boils my blood at how many parents want to be a friend first and a parent second. Now, this was highlighted to me in 2010, 2011. I was running an adult event called Property University. So it was a 2-day event with a whole lot of guest speakers educating on strategies around property investing. And I was the kind of glue that stuck the whole weekend together. So I did all the mindset stuff. So I facilitated probably 8 hours of the 2 days. I did a board break. We did visualization. So they were very engaged. I was selling an audio pack of my coaching for like $2,000 for this audio pack. People lining up, paying big money. We get to the Sunday afternoon. There's 400 people in the audience. And I say, hands up who's got a teenager. I'd say 100 hands went up. So a quarter of the room got a teenager. So then I said, hands up who's enjoyed my mentorship this weekend. Everyone's like, yeah, it's been great. I love it. So appreciative, so grateful. I said, well, guess what? I run a whole program for teenagers. Everyone's like, wow. I go, it's called Empower You. Really? I said, it's 24 hours of live teaching. It's a fraction of the cost of what you're paying here. It's like $500 to attend, $20 an hour. It's like a half of what you pay an hourly rate for a tutor. Let me show you a video. Let's bring up one of my students. So it was an extremely compelling argument for those 100 adults in the room to send their kids. To me, this was a no-brainer. Wouldn't you just sign your child up? You've got value from me over 2 days. Now give me your kids for 2 days. So I thought this would be a no-brainer. And so we passed out an expression of interest form, not even a sign-up form, just an expression of interest to say, I'm interested in more information. I found out 5 minutes later, we got one person fill out a form. Wow. One. So I lost it. I said, stop the music. We're stopping the event. I've got to get something off my chest, everyone. And I went on this 5-minute tirade. And the reason I did it should be noted that this has been a grind. running this program. It has been an absolute grind and a labor of love. It's made barely any money. It's, you know, I've had other partners over the years that have left to go on for more fruitful things, but I've believed in the cause. But this was a breaking point for me because I thought, here are people in the room that get the education. They get the education from me, and they'll pay for it for themselves, but not for their kids. So I lost it. I said, in all these years I've been running this, you know, it's been so hard to fill a room, and everyone says, this is such amazing work you're doing, but you are in this room paying money for yourselves and paying for courses for me, but you won't do it for your kids. Like, you should be ashamed. I literally said, you should be ashamed, and I want to get those forms out. I want to have 100 forms filled out, and I've made them do it. What came out of it in the wash? Like, why did they not fill it out? It wasn't because they didn't believe in me. It wasn't because they didn't believe in the value of the program. It's because they didn't want to make their kids go.
I knew you were going to say that. I remember you've said this every now and then. You say this at Empower You, that story, and I love that story. I remember I was actually telling Mum it, and I was just like, "That this is the challenge of Empower You. It's like you can provide all this value to adults and parents, yet even with that they wouldn't." And it's like, once again, it's $500 for a ticket.
Yeah.
And they were paying, you know, what, tens of thousands of dollars, $2,000 just for an audio CD.
Yeah.
It's like, are you kidding me?
I know.
And it's like, oh, I don't want to make my kids go.
Yeah.
It's like one thing that was very beneficial to me. And I remember my 1,000 Doors presentation, how you can link back everything back as one point. One of those one points for me was when I was forced to go to a 5-day camp, 5 days, not 2 days of my weekend. It was during the middle of my school holidays. So it was a week out of my 4-week holiday in schools to a disability camp. I had to look after a disabled kid. And me and my brother didn't really want to go. Mum made us go. We didn't fight it. We were like, oh, fine, we'll go. We weren't that keen though. And off the back of that, all this stuff happened. I met this guy and it was a great experience. And it's just like, I could have so easily, you know, that so easily could not have happened if my mum didn't make me go. And so, and I feel like I'm almost the last generation to have parents like that.
Yeah.
Because I see other kids and it's like, I think, and because I skipped technology, you know, at that age, technology didn't hit until I was like, you know, 10 years old really. Social media didn't hit until I was like 13, 14. So I managed to skip it there. I just had PlayStation. But yeah, that's exactly right. I completely agree.
And so that was a huge frustration for me and a bit of a light bulb moment. So the first reason why what I've seen in changes in my audience is parents, and general statement here, not all parents, but a lot of parents I'm seeing are not as strong on their children as they used to be. And they just want them to be happy in spite of it being a disservice to them. So I always say, by cheating your kid out of not making them go to Empower You, what could be the opportunity cost of missing out on that weekend?
That's what I say. The opportunity cost, I always bring up that term. What is the opportunity cost of them missing out on Empower You? Literally probably nothing.
Yeah.
They're probably going to be at home. They might hang out with their friends. They might go to the movies.
Yeah.
They might sit at home. It's probably very, very minimal, almost all the time. Yet that, you know, the outcome of Empower You is potentially very high.
Yeah. I mean, there's a great movie. I think it's a great movie because it's a simple premise, but it's a very powerful message. Jim Carrey's Yes Man.
Yeah. Oh, I always bring up that movie. It's such a good one.
You know, if you just committed to a week of yeses, whether you wanted to do it or not, you just did it, you're going to grow so much. You're going to learn so much. And so parents being softer on their kids is one reason. The other reason is, and as a result of that, when teenagers, generalizing now, when teenagers face adversity, they quit more now than they used to.
Because that's what they do.
Yeah. And when you quit, all you do is validate that adversity. You validate that fear, and we wonder why so many people are anxious. We wonder why so many people are cut themselves. We wonder why people are have suicidal thoughts. We wonder why suicide has never been higher. We wonder why, you know, mental health issues in young people have doubled in the last 10 years. We wonder why, because we've made things easier, not better. You know, it comes back to the dream struggle prize. When you don't give someone a struggle, then they don't know how to deal with adversity.
Yeah.
We're growing up a generation of kids who will not be able to handle the real world because as soon as it gets tough, I can't handle this. I'll go back to my phone.
Yeah.
I'll go back to my video games. I'll live at home till I'm 30. I'm sure parents are going to love that. It's all going to come back to them.
Yeah.
You know, it'll all come full circle. So, you know, there's a mother who, I won't mention her name because she'd be so embarrassed, but there's a mother that lives up in the Ballina region with Byron Bay, where we've had a huge success in that region. She brought me there. She is the mother of 3 children, biological kids, and another almost 30 foster children.
Wow.
Yeah. And she is the ultimate tough love. And she made it extremely difficult for her kids to have anything. And these 3 kids, her biological kids, and look, a lot of the foster kids have done Empower You. Some are assists now. But her 3 biological kids, the ones that she's raised from birth, are superstars. All 3 of them in their different rights are outstanding human beings. And it's because she didn't make it easy for them. She could have, but she knew it would be a disservice to them. So I think that the byproduct of not being tough on your children means that when they face adversity, they don't know how to handle it. Like, I had a parent message me an email probably a year ago saying, I know you do a board break. My kid gets quite embarrassed in front of people. Do you think you could do it with them in a room by themselves? I was like, no. Does life make these consolences?
Exactly.
Do you think you're going for a job and they go, oh, I don't like being around a room, but yeah, we'll just bring you into this private room and tell you you don't have the job. Like, life's not going to get easier. You got to get stronger. You got to get better.
And that's my whole thing with like school and everything. It's like, it's not just you're practicing until 18 and then there's a shift and you're in the real world and there's no transition. It's like they're giving you this fake scenario. It's like, no, we need to give them the real scenario. Here's the real deal.
Yeah.
If you have to do it. If you want to leave, you're not allowed to leave unless you keep pushing. All right, fine. You just go.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and there's been examples where I've seen people who wanted to leave Empower You and then by the end of it, they got so much. And I'm like, imagine if they'd left.
Yeah.
Even camp, I can't go into too much detail, but I was telling you, there was a girl who, should have left on day 2 for certain reasons. And she got so much out of it. And I'm like, I'm so glad she didn't leave on day 2.
Stay in the race.
I'm like, because she got so much out of it. And it's just like, I always imagine, like, I know Loki out of, watch Marvel, there's like all these alternate timelines now. And I'm weird like that. I always imagine like alternate timelines.
Like
it's
sliding doors.
Yeah. Just like, is there a version of me that didn't do that? And I wonder what he's doing now.
Yeah.
Is there a version of me, someone who didn't complete Empower You when they did this or whatever, like you apply it to someone who didn't go for this job or who didn't say yes to that thing. They say, I don't know if you've heard this, they say a life-changing opportunity comes across your door once every 2 weeks.
That was me.
That was you. There you go.
Do you have the eyes to see it?
Yeah.
And that comes into mentality, which is what this whole podcast is about. I think and that is the big challenge is that, when the going gets tough, we have more exits now. And because you have more exits, it's like, I don't like doing this thing now. I'll just distract myself with something else. And when we talk about social media, and I know we'll probably get into that now, and technology, I mean, how many young people I hear now, I want to be an influencer. I just want to make money by like taking photos and videos and just traveling. That's the challenge is that so many young people's perception of what it takes to be successful is not necessarily hard work, but flash and bling.
Mate,
And
influence is not easy as well.
No, it's not.
It looks
It's
easy.
not.
It looks easy on Instagram and stuff, but like even Luke, my mate, he's a travel influencer and he loves it and he's great at it. But traveling by yourself, you have dark moments. You're always going to having to film, and then you've got to film, and then you've got to edit, and you've got to keep up with that content. And it's like he loves it, but there's definitely downsides.
it's work. It's not.
No, it's a lot of work.
You're not drinking pina coladas and having parties all the time and just having to play your phone for 5 minutes and it just works that way.
Yeah.
And so many young people have a false perception of what success, happiness, love, all these things are. And so when the reality of it hits, they don't really understand that. They go, this isn't for me. And so they have falsehoods of what they should be and what they want to be. And when they don't get it,
Do you know how many people I see will choose a university degree or they'll be like, I'm just going to do my master's to avoid entering the adult world because I'm scared. I'm not even kidding.
I heard that before.
That's a real thing. And do you know what the thing that annoys me? People probably hate on me in the comments of this clip, but they laugh about it. And I get it. It's funny. But they almost normalize it to the point where no one can see, do you realize how bad that is?
Yeah.
You're that scared of entering the real world. You're going to pay $50,000 in 2 years of your life in your mid-20s. And it's like, I just don't get it. It's like,
and do they think by putting it off, it's going to get easier?
No, it's just going to be the exact same.
Harder.
But instead, you're going to be 25 instead of 23.
Yeah.
It's like, there's no difference.
The longer you leave something, the bigger it becomes.
Yeah. And again, making a decision or not making a decision. Not making a decision, you're still making the decision to not make the decision.
Yeah.
And that's one example. People do it all the time. People picking vague degrees, like a business degree or something. They don't know what they want to do, but they just need to pick something so I can feel like I'm doing something.
Yeah, that's the thing. Feel like they're doing something.
Yeah.
Feel like justify to themselves. Well, I'm progressing in life. I'm moving forward. Yeah.
And once again, I'm not attacking them. This is just how we've been raised, and this is what we feel like is normal, which is why we're trying to talk about this stuff. It's like, no, you don't have to think that. And but yeah, going back onto the whole anxiety thing, is seeing your audience have gotten way more anxiety, way more stress, all these different words. Me and you personally believe a large majority is due to technology and social media. And I think no one would say it's not. That's definitely a huge factor. There's other factors like the economy, all these different things. But I think a big factor is social media and technology and how that's affecting us. Because as you mentioned, it didn't exist when you started Empower You.
No. There were mobile phones. Nokia
flip ones. Yeah.
was the big brand with the game Snake, which was like, I've got a game on my phone. It's a little dot that just keeps growing. Technology has made the world more connected, more accessible, but there's an overwhelm of information. And, when we talk about the definition of leadership, as John Maxwell would say, is influence. And when I was a kid growing up, my biggest influences were my mum and dad, and then maybe my teachers. But now look at the amount of influences that I need to contend with for my children's attention. How many negative influences that we can access at an age that we're not ready for it.
And obviously there's, my entire brain is trying to be a positive influencer. So there are good things out there.
Totally.
But I would say, the negative massively outweighs the positive influences. And look, once again, someone might not be negative, but they're not posting anything positive. They're just posting their life and not really showing the real sides of it. So they're not intentionally being negative.
No.
But for you, that's having negative effects on you.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of people don't realize. I don't follow negative people. Yeah, because they're not negative on the surface level, but you're subconsciously comparing yourself to their life. Therefore, you're having negative effects.
Here's what I always say to really make this point you've just made simple. Is it adding value to my life?
Yeah.
Is it serving me? Is watching or seeing these things, is it enriching my life? Is it making me feel better about myself and my circumstances or not? And they're the questions we need to ask ourselves. Does it serve me or not? And if it's a disservice, cut it out. We need to be far more mindful of putting boundaries in place for not only how people treat us, but how people impact us intentionally or inadvertently. And again, that just comes down to mentality shift and having a greater awareness of these things.
Do you know Maria Kondo?
Of course.
Yeah.
Bring joy. I always say that. Does it bring joy to you?
That's it. That's what her whole thing is.
Bring joy.
Isn't it?
Does it bring joy?
It's the same thing. Maria Kondo, clean up your feed. Does
Yeah.
this person add value or bring joy to me?
Yeah.
No, get rid of them.
Yeah.
When you're cleaning up your house, does this add, joy or value? No, get rid of it. It's a great analogy.
Yeah.
But, going on to social media, like what do you see? You've got some young kids. You also have the parenting page. You talk about this a lot. You've got your whole social media tips, which will probably be a separate episode.
Yeah.
But I guess what are you seeing with social media? Like obviously there are positives and negatives, but why do you think this is dangerous for young people?
Because of its addictive nature.
Yeah.
The amount of time you're spending invested in other people's lives that you don't even interact with. Social media has become a resuscitator for relationships. So rather than calling you and catching up, I'll just watch what you're doing and like it and give you a comment. And so it's downgraded the importance of real relationships. So it's about quantity over quality. And I think that, I think social media can be great, totally. I'm not against it. It's all about how you use the tool. And I would have an argument to say that if you ask every teenager, do you think that you're looking at social media more than you should? Rarely would you have anyone say no.
I would still say yes.
Yeah.
I'm still not happy with how much time.
Confidently say I look at it too much.
Yeah.
It's become like, it's the new addiction because it releases that dopamine.
Yeah.
It's like this, I got a message.
I'll do it watching
I got
movies.
it's a present. You're getting a present. That's what it's like.
I'll do it while watching movies. I'll be watching a movie and it won't be super engaging at this certain scene. So I'll just pull out my phone and do nothing. I'll just scroll.
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
What am I doing?
It's like you just feel you need to constantly be doing things. It's like we just can't be present. And look, I'm guilty of this.
I'm guilty of it as well.
And it's just about really, and this is why I share that, and the technology and social tips. It's like, well, you just got to put some more parameters. And you just got to go, right, go on Instagram. Don't go on it 20 times a day. Go on it 3 times a day. You've got to take some control back and you've got to take some ownership about your relationship with this if you feel like it's a disservice. If you feel like, oh my God, I'm looking at 10 hours a day and I'm feeling amazing and my life is great, then keep doing it.
Yeah.
But rarely will that happen.
Of course, unlikely. And that's where, I try flip it, like, go listen to this podcast instead. Do this instead. Like use it to your advantage. Follow people that are going to bring you joy. That's a big one of the social media tips.
Yeah.
But, the way we feel we've always been constantly doing something, like younger people who've grown up with this stuff, that's just who they are. And like, that's where it's like, you can't help but feel this way because that's how you've grown up. It's not your fault.
No.
But how do we take accountability, ownership,
Yeah.
do something about it? Yes, it's not your fault that you're addicted to this because that's the world you've grown up with, and it's these companies are spending billions of dollars to make sure you're addicted to it. But how you take accountability and ownership, turn off your notifications.
Yeah.
Become at least bare minimum, be self-aware that this is an
Self-aware.
addiction.
Yeah.
Understand it's an addiction. Like during COVID, man, my TikTok hours have gone way up. Like I'm not out as much. I'm doing half the amount of stuff I'm normally doing. So I've got this free time. What am I doing? Just scrolling. And I'm aware of that and I'm trying to fix it.
Yeah.
But that's where I get really worried for young people. It's just who they are. And they don't know what it was like to be normal before it. They don't have a comparison.
Yeah.
Honestly, I kind of don't have a comparison almost.
Yeah.
It's been a part of who I am for so long.
I mean, that's why I love it. Coming back to the camp quickly, we're there for 5 days and I have a rule of no phones. And it's got to the point where we collect phones now. We're going to collect them, take them from people. And people are like, oh, I need to text my boyfriend. I need to continue my Snapchat streak.
Streaks.
And they panic. And I say, can you see that you're panicking over this, that's a problem? And it's almost like, I don't know if you've heard of the movie Basketball Diaries, Leonardo DiCaprio. It's about a guy, a heroin addict, who wants to, come off heroin. And so they lock him up for 3 weeks because you've got to do that. And he's banging the walls, he's scratching himself. He's like, let me out, he's crying. He's doing everything he can to bribe them to give me some heroin. But once he breaks through what do you call it? The detox.
Cold turkey.
Cold turkey.
Yeah.
He's great. And so for most people with their phone, if you said, I'm going to take it off you for 5 days, the first day or two, give it to me. Eventually, you'll go, you know what? I've broken that huge addiction. That's what happens at camp. By the end of the 5th day, people are like, it's nice to not, what's happening?
Yeah.
Let me look at this. I realize. Now, the challenge is when they go back to real world, can they sustain it or not? That's really the personal challenge on everyone. But my recommendation for anyone just on the social media and technology thing is just commit to a solid block of time that will get uncomfortable for you. If it gets uncomfortable, that's telling you that, okay, there's something you need to work on there and just commit to it. So it's a tricky one.
Yeah.
It's a tricky one. But you just self-awareness and finding the balance, I think, is key. But that's the change I've seen in my audiences. I feel like there's an easier – people are prepared to quit more. They don't see the value in following through as much because there's way more options and distraction now.
I think the biggest point is, and you going back to a few other points, I think was it your story where you lost $5?
Yes.
Yeah, I love that story, and similar stuff has happened to me. Like you lost a $5 at the fair. You're going to spend that money. You got, Mum, can I have $5? I lost it. No. For me, that happened to me, and my parents would say no, and I just thought because I didn't have any money. I didn't have any perception of how much $5 was. Because to me, that was so much money. Damn, they can't afford it. Damn it, okay. They could afford $5.
Yeah.
Instead, they're going to put up with me crying and having a whinge, which is more work for them.
Exactly.
But they know, because giving me $5, bang, they're rid of me. I'm happy.
Yeah.
But long-term, it's doing me a disservice. I think little stories like that really can understand the power of, the whole being a friend first and a parent second.
Yeah. Delayed gratification, the lessons greater than there's so much to it. So that was great. Good chat.
Yeah, great chat.
Thank you for listening to the Empower You podcast. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. For more information on our live events, please head to www.empoweryou.com.au. We look forward to having you join us again for the next episode of the Empower You podcast.